Mike Palm, Ken Miller, together on Iowa Everywhere. Welcome to The Hook, powered by Circa Sports Iowa. Sports betting the way it should be. This is Iowa Everywhere.
Welcome to The Hook. It's not technically The Hook.
No, that's the intro we play.
Yeah, that's the intro we play because it said Circa Sports all over it.
Right.
I'm Chris Williams, joined by the great Ken Miller.
Just
we are
Ken
here
Miller,
on location at the beautiful Circa Sportsbook, the greatest and largest sportsbook in the world.
Chris, I've been all over the Strip for all the years I've been coming to Las Vegas. They're our primary sponsor on Miller & Condon. I want to get that out there right away. But it is so easy to sing the praises of this place because I literally haven't found a flaw, whether it's in the food, whether it's in the check-in process, whether it's in the largest sports book, the numbers that they put out there. It got me away from the Strip to the extent I don't know if I'll ever stay there again. I really don't. There's something
I'm
about
the same way.
Right?
Yeah.
Walking out the door and you're on the Fremont experience.
No
and
doubt.
depending on what month of the year you come, it really and truly is an experience. Stadium Swim, it's a standalone as far as where it fits in here in the landscape of sports betting in Las Vegas. But this place is absolutely special. And if you come to Las Vegas and for whatever reason I can't leave the Strip, that's where all the action is. No, it's not. It's not. It's here, and this place is. The rooms are spectacular.
The rooms are awesome. The thing I really like about it too, like I'm a rural Iowan.
Yeah, so I'd heard.
I like to move around.
Yeah.
And well, one, you don't really need to leave the Circa campus because there's so much stuff here. But I feel like I'm kind of bar hopping when I'm just jumping around here at Circa. But if I want to go for a walk like I did last night after we got done with that amazing dinner, what was the Asian place?
East.
Oh, my gosh.
Isn't that something?
The fried rice brisket.
Brisket fried rice.
Hey, mini Christmas.
Hold the egg.
No, I'm a Fremont Street guy. I always have been. And, yeah, I'm with you. I will never stay on the Strip again.
It's the iconic properties, Chris. It's kind of like going back in time to Las Vegas, right? When I don't know how old people are watching this, but if you're 50s, 60s, and the 70s growing up and you're seeing some of the pictures of what Las Vegas first looked like before the explosion, this is kind of what it's like. And then you put a brand new, shiny property like Circa in the middle of all of this. It just takes it to another level. It really does.
Well, it's great. It's great to be here. It's great to have you here. This is fun. We've wanted to do some shows like this for almost 2 decades now. We do have a lot to talk
Chris,
about.
You called me every 2 weeks for years.
I was annoying, wasn't I?
No, but in a good way. But in a good way. Look what it got you.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I appreciate you. And it's been a long road. A lot has happened.
One day we should do a pod on that.
We need to.
Absolutely.
We maybe have a few beers while we're doing it.
Okay.
I think that. No, I'm just really glad you're on the network because we didn't create this to go after anyone or declare war or anything like that. I created this because, one, I thought that the audience would love it.
Yeah.
Two, I want to bring guys like you on, and I want to have everywhere from Jared and J-Bo where, honestly, they're a little young for me.
Really?
Sometimes I love those guys. But, right, like, it was funny. I was talking to a friend of mine who's in the sports business, and he was telling me about his daughter who's in high school, and she's obsessed with Jared and J-Bo.
Really?
Listens to
That's
him
great.
religiously.
That's awesome.
She doesn't want to listen to me and Hassel.
No.
Because we're the old farts now,
Yeah.
right? Like
Well,
so we're trying to create something that's got something for everybody. And I've really enjoyed your Mike show. Unfortunately, Mike Palm is not with us this week because he's at a sports betting convention out in New York. But we are going to have some of the odds makers from Circa and some VSiN personalities joining us here.
Jeff Benson's going to come on a little bit later on, right?
Yes.
He's a great follower on Twitter.
Yep.
He's a great dude, and I love the back and forth that he engages in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I've never met him, so that'll be a first for me.
It's my son's boss.
And it was nice to meet your son last night.
Yeah, but I was glad he was able to join us.
That was kind of fun because I've just known you professionally all these years,
Right.
and I never knew the
Dad.
personal side. Yeah, so that was kind of neat. Real quick, before we get into all the day's top stories, this is another reason why I love partnering with Circa. is we had a line for the wrestling duel, and Iowa State covered, by the way. So I go Kevin Dresser and my Cyclones.
Did you bet?
I did.
Attaboy.
They covered. And I freaked out because when Spencer Lee – I got it at 6, and Spencer Lee –
Before he was committed to be part of it? Yeah.
And then it dropped to 13, and I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
But then Iowa State didn't allow him to get a major, and I thought I was going to be in an okay position. We do have a line for the women's game, the Cyhawk women's game tonight. And talk about this here. Iowa is a 3-point favorite over Iowa State in what I believe is probably going to be the most watched women's game in the history of the state of Iowa.
I don't think there's any doubt, Chris. Look, I've been doing this for a long time, right? And 27 years, and I like to play the hits on the radio show, and for the longest time, women's basketball wasn't one of the hits, right? It's kind of like hockey. It's like horse racing. You don't want people reaching for their dials. You want to keep your audience, so you have to play the hits. This is a hit this year.
I agree.
What Fennelly is doing, what Bluter is doing, the teams that they put together, look, I don't claim to know a thing about it, Chris. I don't. I know some of the players. Well, I'll see some of the games. But when there's something else going on, or when my Winnipeg Jets are playing at 64 years of age, I'm going to watch every game I can.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to defer to you tonight a lot on this tonight, or during our time here, because you certainly more know about that than me. I was surprised at the number. I'll say that because I think Fennelly's got a pretty good team.
I was surprised at the number. First of all, I want to be clear. I think that this is a toss-up. I mean, we saw it last year in Hilton Coliseum with similar teams, and that was a really good basketball game. I thought Iowa State would be a slight favorite in this
too.
I think they're a more complete team. They got this Stephanie Suarez, who
I've heard a lot about her.
Well, she changes their team. So the one thing that Fennelly, he's always had great guards.
Yeah.
Right? They always can shoot. The thing that she's a 6'6" eraser in the middle, and he's never had that. She's only played a fifth of one season. She's the best post he's ever had.
Wow.
And that will be controversial to some people who are more old school.
He's had some good players.
He has. She is the most – she can shoot the three. She can run the floor. Iowa has the best player.
Without a doubt.
In Caitlin Clark.
Yep.
I think Iowa State has a better roster. Now you go out and play the game. And usually in these games, it's not Caitlin Clark and Ashley Jones who decide the outcome. It's like date back to the basketball with the men's.
What you should have asked for is you should have asked for a head-to-head.
Yeah, just like a little NBA jam. Just
Clark Jones, put a number on that.
Maybe we can get that done.
Well, Jeff Benson's going to sit beside you.
I do think Iowa State is if they played on a neutral floor or a best of 7, I think Iowa State would win. One game in Carver, who knows? Right. I really think you're flipping a coin. So -3 with Iowa, I think -3 with Iowa State is a fair number. Mm-hmm. I think it's fair either way.
What's the money line? If you want to bet Iowa State, what do you get?
130.
130. Okay.
That would be the play I would make. I think
too.
If I had to bet the game.
It's not enough points. If you're going to make a bet, may as well just who's going to win.
Correct. Yeah, I think Iowa State clearly is the better team 1 through 10 of women who will play in the game. But if Clark goes off for 36, and Cesano in the middle, Iowa's got good players too. This isn't a landslide. One roster is better than the other.
Right.
I just think you've got Ashley Jones. This is the type of stuff that drives some people crazy about watching the women's game. Where when Iowa State would play Baylor and Texas the last few years, really the offense would be like, all right, Ashley, just back it into the middle and hope you get fouled. Mm-hmm. And it's not pleasant to watch. Mm-hmm. Well, she doesn't have to do that anymore because of Suarez in the middle. And it opens up everything. And I actually think that North Carolina game in the second half that they lost in Portland, I think they're learning how to play where I think that they had gotten to the point where they were so reliant on Suarez, and then Suarez is on the bench with fouls or whatever. I think they're learning how to play with this giant weapon in the middle. Mm-hmm. Iowa now, with Caitlin Clark and Cesano and Bluter, and we know all about their roster, they've taken some lumps earlier in this year.
Yep.
So how are they kind of bouncing back from the adversity and stuff? And I don't have any worry about. I think it's going to be a hell of a game.
So let me ask you this way: I think tomorrow night, how the game is officiated is going to go a long way.
Me too.
What about tonight? Is there a difference?
Is
there an edge? If it's called tight, who
I
does
think
that
it's
benefit?
called tight, it probably benefits Iowa, probably. I mean, Iowa State, that's the thing. Like, you think Finley's teams, you think shooting, Lexi Donarski's the best defender in the Big 12. Emily Ryan's a pit bull out there, right? If Cesaro, Cesano could get Suarez in foul trouble early, that would really impact. So I would say definitely that would favor Iowa. I think it's the same thing with the men's game tomorrow night as we kind of lead into that. Iowa loses to Duke last night. We got to watch it here in the world's largest sports book.
What did you think of that, Chris? Was it stage fright? I mean, I haven't seen Hawkeye shoot as embarrassingly bad as that in a long time. I mean, the air balls in the basketball game. I get it's not the granddaddy of them all. That's the Rose Bowl, but it's the most famous arena in the world, and it's on every player's bucket list to play there. Was it the stage too big for them last night?
I don't know if I would say that. You know what stood out to me against them or for them? You look at Iowa's schedule, and they've played two teams that'll defend you.
Okay.
TCU and Duke.
Yep.
And they haven't shot the ball well in either one of those games. So, I mean, I bet scouting had something to do with it. I think Duke was able to watch something that TCU was able to do, and there's smarter basketball people than me that can pick up on those things.
Well, and this just in, TJ's team's going to guard you.
Yeah, and that they're absolutely going to. They foul a lot. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit like watching the old Huggins teams. Okay. It's a little bit like the old Big East, where they're probably going to foul you on every possession.
Will they get called?
Correct. And I think you'll see a lot this year where you'll see a lot like the North Carolina game where they get called a lot in the first half. Even the UConn game.
Yep.
The refs gave them a chance to get back in, but they couldn't hit a shot.
No, they did, but the first 20 minutes was officiated so much differently.
The guy I'm kind of we should have just gone live last night watching the game.
Well, we could have.
Perkins is the guy for me where I'm just kind of.
What happened last night?
Well, I was in love with him last year. I was screaming, play him more.
That's Condon's guy too. You and Condon are on the same page.
I'm in love with him.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. Last night he just 2 for 10. He was a no-show.
Right. Started the second half with an air ball.
He was pretty good against TCU. I was looking to see that. He had 15 against TCU. He actually really showed up there. It's just, to me, he's kind of just the key to this team, right? You know what you're going to get with Murray.
Yep.
I think you know what you have with McCaffrey. Both the McCaffreys.
Both of them. Yep.
I think Rabracha works his ass off. He's kind of their Robert Jones.
Okay. Who's really coming on in his own right, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think Robert probably at this point has a higher upside than Rabracha, which is shocking.
Yeah.
When you
wouldn't have said that last year.
No, last year he didn't even look like he should have been a rotation guy.
Right.
But you had Xavier Foster go down, and they had to have somebody to play. I like Ulis and Perkins, but isn't this the age-old story with Iowa basketball and Fran McCaffrey, though? What are their guards going to do?
Last night they did nothing. I mean, I'm a Ulis guy. I like Ulis a lot. But Perkins needs to be more consistent.
They were 4 for 17 combined last night, Perkins and Ulis.
That's not going to get it done against a good team like Duke. And on a big stage like that, at ESPN with the world watching, or the country watching, certainly. It was disappointing the way that that one turned out last night.
So they're in a tough spot, and I didn't even realize this.
The stretch they're in?
Yeah, and when I was in Portland is when I realized, because I started to break down Iowa State's schedule. And I was like, shit, Iowa's got to go Madison Square Garden, fly in the middle of the night, get home, and then you get one of the top 5 most physical teams in the country the next day.
And on Sunday, what are they going to get?
Wisconsin.
And
another
how are they
physical,
play them?
nasty.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is really, I don't know if I would call it a critical run because it's still December, but
pretty big.
I do think we're learning about Iowa, though, right? Like you're starting to figure out some strengths and weaknesses.
I still think they're a tournament team.
Oh, I do too. And they're going to be favored tomorrow night.
I could see that. Yep, they should
I bet they're a 5-point favorite.
They could be.
4. Maybe the power rating drops a little bit.
Yeah, based on last night.
They
could be, but they'll be favored.
But I do think it's fascinating, the Iowa State foul thing, though. Because you saw in that first half against Duke, they had 3 guys with 3 fouls in 10 minutes.
Yep.
or not Duke, against UConn.
UConn, yeah.
And if that game was in Hilton tomorrow night, I actually think I'd pick a double-digit win for Iowa State because I don't think Iowa's going to like that pressure.
No.
In Carver, I have no idea. In fact, I might even lean Iowa at this point, just the contrarian. They're coming off of the loss. Iowa State's riding a high. They just blew out St. John's. The contrarian in me thinks that Iowa could really show up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big game for both schools, right? And for that reason, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if Iowa comes out victorious tomorrow night, despite how badly they looked the night before in New York. As with Wisconsin coming up, I could see them giving their best shot. Look, Chris Murray's not going to have the poor game that he had on Tuesday night. He's going to have a better game. I have to think that Perkins is going to have a better game. Now, is the pressure, is the physical nature of play that TJ is going to ask his kids to do, is that going to be enough to overcome that?
We'll see. I'm looking forward to it greatly. Looking forward to the women's game tonight as well. You should bet on that, and you should download the Circa Sports Iowa app. And this, I think it's funny. This is how much our friends, if you're watching on the stream, there's the women's basketball.
We'll show a regular sheet.
Yeah.
This is a regular sheet of games, right?
Yeah. And then they did the one Cyhawk women's basketball line for everybody here in Las Vegas to bet on tonight, which is freaking awesome. So appreciate that, and I appreciate them doing that with the wrestling too. It really adds something to our state when you can bet on these non-revenue type of sports.
Well, it helps that Mike Palm's a native Iowan, for starters,
It
and
does.
he knows the lay of the land as well as anybody. Growing up in Dubuque and going to Wahlert and then getting involved in the Girls Association and umpiring at the state tournament level, he's a true and true Iowan, so he understands how much these games mean.
Let's go to a couple other topics here, Ken. We are going to do, by the way, if you're enjoying the program, we are going to do a bowl special later on today. I'll probably flip it on live. Why not? We will definitely.
It's just so tough. I don't know how you feel about it.
Oh, it's impossible.
I don't know how you can bet with any degree of confidence at this point, unless you're convinced that one of the K-State quarterbacks is for sure going to play. You get them both, but both of them aren't going to be there. With the uncertainty of the transfer portal, with the guys opting out early, and they should. I'm all for it, by the way. If you've got a chance to prepare for the NFL and prepare to get paid for the rest of your life, you've got the biggest job audition you'll ever have coming up in February, March, and April. So go do your thing. But I'm almost thinking that for the first time ever, live betting might be the way to go on these bowl games, because once the teams take the field, or certainly take the field for warm-up, you'll know if the running backs opted out or the quarterbacks opted out. How many years ago was the Liberty Bowl when Iowa State had all the academic casualties that we found out the morning of? They're not alone in that category.
Nope.
So these are all these things you have to take in, and I get as excited for the bowl announcement as anybody, and then when they put the number out beside it, you want to jump in right away. But man, oh man, as the years go by, it gets more difficult with any degree of confidence to step up to the window.
No doubt. We'll go in depth. I do have 3 or 4 that I like, and we're going to give you guys and hopefully get a couple of experts on with us about actual tips on betting these things. And that's that's real professional. My phone going off here in the middle of it. We'll get some tips, because I think that there are some real. I had my best round of betting ever last year.
Better than the run you were on in the NFL a few years ago?
Yes.
Wow.
Last bowl season, because I think there's some real opportunities to play on the public with the way that bowl games are structured.
You bet
now.
the brand.
Correct.
You bet the big name school.
There's a lot of contrarian type stuff that you can do where you can make a lot of extra money right now with the Bulls. So we'll do that in a separate pod coming up. I wanted to hit on Jeff Brohm to Louisville. I guess it's not shocking to me. I mean, the Big Ten's about to change, Ken. When you get rid of the Big Ten West.
And divisions go away is huge.
The Big Ten's about to change. I just don't know. So, compare Purdue, I guess, to, let's say, Iowa State. So Purdue's got all this Big Ten money and stuff. Yep. What's the difference? Well, Iowa State's fans show up.
Right.
Right? Not even saying it's a better – my point is Purdue's kind of like that type of school in the Big Ten. They don't have great crowd support. And now you're not playing against Northwestern every year. Yeah, you certainly think that Nebraska's probably going to get better.
Illinois
at some
already
point.
has.
Yeah, Illinois is getting better. Feels like he's building something there.
Fleck just got extended another 7 years this morning.
Iowa's consistent.
Yeah.
And
Wisconsin got Luke Fickell, who can recruit his you-know-what off.
And then you have UCLA and USC coming to the league and all the monsters over in the East. I think this is a good move. I mean, he's been there before, and it does make sense to me why a guy like Brohm would kind of look around in Purdue and go, can I win here?
Well, and he's going home, too,
Yeah.
which is a strong pull. And he's not only going home, he's leaving the Big Ten for the ACC. And he's got his money. He doesn't care what the television contracts are and how long they're locked into their existing agreement with ESPN. I could see it. And you know when you could tell, unfortunately, when the announcement came out that Satterfield was going to Cincy, and Brohm was asked at the Bowl press conference, I didn't know a thing about this. You guys are letting me in on some, well, BS, come on. That's just, it's not realistic. So you could tell at that point that it was fait accompli.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And I just think, too, it has impacts on this Iowa job. I mean, you've been telling a lot of my Hawkeye friends, like, your lives are about to change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we went through this at Iowa State when the Big 12 North dissolved.
Right.
Now,
That's a good point.
You know, like you had this where every 2 years you don't play Texas and Oklahoma, and it's like, okay, you got
an advantage.
Yeah, you got to be ready.
Yeah.
You got to be recruited to the spot where you can take advantage in that situation. And the Big Ten is going to be really different, and frankly, the Big 12 too, right? Like you're going to have uneven schedules now.
Mm-hmm. That's too bad. That's the one thing about it I don't like,
especially in basketball.
Oh, for sure. I mean, Kevin Durant never played in Hilton. Never played. And would have.
I hate that. Big 12 basketball is so special because of the round robin.
Yep.
And you can see it by the time they're in Kansas City, those teams hate each other.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit like the NBA where you play these guys so often, you get to know them. It's a very physical league, and I absolutely hate that. If it were up to me, we would have 12, 10-team leagues. You know, let everybody in the club. I want everybody in the club. And make it regional. Fans can travel. I mean,
home and homes.
Yeah.
Everybody plays during football season.
It's not going to happen.
Nope.
But it's something I would love to see. Other things I had on my list here. I do want to talk about the transfers with Iowa. Let's start right there. Not surprised to see a guy like Arlen Bruce transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Really shocking some of these defensive transfers that Iowa has seen over the last couple days.
Yeah, I didn't see the Terry Roberts news coming. The Jacobs piece was, I think it caught a lot of people off guard. I was clued into that on Friday, mentioned it on Miller and Condon, and we had Tom Kakert on. I don't think he was had any inkling that this was coming. But why are they leaving? I mean, obviously, the rumor is Jacobs is going to Oregon, which means he's going to get paid. Terry Roberts was injured and lost his place and was off to a terrific start. I mean, this was a premier special teamer up until this year, right, when he finally got his opportunity, when some of the graduation process took place. But, yeah, I didn't see either of those two coming. On the offense, you could see it, right? I mean, Charlie Jones is the poster boy for why you leave Iowa when it comes to offense. The numbers he put up at Purdue are just mind-numbing when you see what, over his career, what he did at the University of Iowa. Ferentz has to change. Ferentz has to change the way that they coach football, the way that they run their offense. They have to get through their heads that it's 2023 next year, not 1993 or 2003. Things have changed.
You wonder, too, and you wonder if it'll start to happen at Iowa State as well. Just when you're so good on one side of the ball and so poor on the other, I mean, it is natural for human beings to be like, God, like if you're Kayvon Merriweather, like, will you score a freaking touchdown? You start, right? Like, I just think it is natural. And I don't know anything about the Iowa situation. I do know from an Iowa State standpoint, I've been pleasantly surprised at the lack of big names who have entered the portal. I mean, really none. Mm-hmm. The guys who have entered have all been back.
TJ Tampa good?
I would say I'm 99% sure he's back.
Awesome.
MJ Anderson went pro.
That surprised me. He had a really good year, Chris. Had a couple of breakout games where, all right, I see what they got here. Another year out of him, and maybe he's got a chance. I don't know what the buzz is around where he's going to be drafted, if he's going to be drafted, but I was surprised.
My scout friends were very surprised and almost shocked that he went pro, that they thought he needed another year.
No.
But I have no idea his personal situation.
Right, that factors into it.
That
sure.
everybody is different.
But he's got to get an opportunity in order to break that bank. So hopefully he does. Where's your fan base on Deckers? Kind of mixed?
I would say it's 50-50.
Yeah.
I think everybody would be wise to let Hunter play with an average offensive line in the running game before you judge him.
I think you have the running game. I'm still a Cartavius Norton believer. I think he's a really good player, but it's that offensive line. You hit the nail on the head. And I'm a Deckers guy. I like what he did. I saw some glimpses. Yeah, did he make some head-scratching decision? Sure. It was his first go-around. I don't care. He stood on the sidelines for what he did, waiting his turn. Yeah, he learned a little bit, but there's something to being out there when it's actually coming at you. Don't give up on him. I think he's a player.
Yeah, I do know where the coaches are, and they're still on board.
Well, that's good.
They're still on board. I asked some pretty pointed questions with people about what are you going to do in the transfer portal? Are you going to consider a quarterback? And got very, very quick. Absolutely not. We're going to let Rocco back, J.J. Cole, and Hunter Deckers Duke. They think that they have an incredibly talented quarterback room. And listen, I mean, I hate to keep going off of my favorite teams, but look at what Kevin O'Connell's done with Kirk Cousins. Like, let's see Deckers with a different voice in his ear. He made some bad mistakes. Last year, and I'm not. But I've seen a lot of Iowa State quarterbacks, as have you, play with bad offensive lines, and they turn into something that they are not. One of my good friends, Brett Meyer, did that. His senior year, he looked like a different guy because you start seeing ghosts out there, and you're zigging when you're supposed to be zagging. And I think Hunter is such a nasty type of competitor where
I love the fact that he can tuck the ball and run too. He's got that part of his game.
He needs to do it, and they need to let him do it. Like that's a.
Were they afraid to let him do it this year?
I don't know. I certainly hope not. I certainly hope not. But it certainly started to look like it at the end of the year with some of the things Matt Campbell was saying about, well, this is why you protect your quarterback and stuff like that at the end of the game. No, here's my thing on Deckers. If he was sitting back there and if he was, some elite passer and decision maker, then that's one thing. He's not right now. He's just not. He hasn't seen enough reps. He's still a young quarterback, even though he's been in there. He hasn't taken many reps. You got to let him run. And he did not look comfortable running at all last year. So I'm hoping with Nate Shieldhouse, who was a running quarterback, I'm hoping that starts to kind of move.
By the way, that was a really good move.
I think so, too. You look at all the young coordinators.
Yep.
Lincoln Riley's little brother.
Would he have had an opportunity to be a coordinator somewhere else?
Well, I bet he would be at South Florida with Alex Golesh right now.
Which maybe was predicated the move to some extent?
From what I understand, Matt wanted to make that move all along.
Did he?
Yeah, and it was a pretty easy decision for him once they made the decision.
Well, he's a top-flight recruiter.
Yep.
He gets in living rooms and closes deals. And as you mentioned, he's got a resume because he played the position.
Brock Purdy and the 49ers is certainly interesting. Now, a really good podcast is up on the network. Sage Rosenfels interviewed Mike Silver yesterday about Brock Purdy and the 49ers. Regardless of how this turns out, really a neat story for a really nice young man. Like Brock's just he's not real. He's just nice. Like if you've ever had an opportunity to talk to him, really nice family, and it's the Mr. Irrelevant thing.
Yeah.
And turning into
just
this is a good story. It's
really,
cool story.
No, it really is. Look, I would have lost a lot of money. I would have bet anything that Brock Purdy will never throw a pass in the NFL. I'm so glad to be wrong.
Yeah.
And the networks had a blast where they, showing the clip of him turning the wrong way to hand off the ball when he came into relief a couple of weeks ago. But he didn't flinch on Sunday.
No.
He didn't flinch. Look, personally, I've got a lot of money tied up on Brock Purdy because the Niners are my NFC team.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo's not exactly.
No, he's not great by any means, but he's been there.
What's Brock's ceiling, I guess, with this team? What can
Jimmy
they
Garoppolo,
do with him?
but the one edge that Garoppolo's has is experience.
No doubt.
And Brock doesn't have that at this point. It's one thing to be just thrown in there Now he's got all week to prepare for Tom Brady, by the way. What's he going to be like? Look, his teammates are singing his praises, Chris. Fred Warner came out and just was.
I saw that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, he's got a good running game, a great running game. He's got a terrific tight end. He's got good receivers, got a good offensive line. The defense is flat out nasty. It might be the best defense in the NFL. So to your point, how much better is Garoppolo than Purdy? And if Garoppolo can lead them there, why are you so afraid of – it's not that big of a drop-off. I don't disagree with that other than the experience.
Yeah, and one of the things about makes Garoppolo so great for a team like that, we're entering Trent Dilfer territory with the Ravens, where you don't screw it up, man.
That's right.
And I love Brock.
Yep.
But he does have the tendency to lose his mind a little bit every once in a while where he tries to do too much. Now, I do wonder.
Well, he did as a Cyclone.
Yeah, and that great, exactly where I was going. And I just wonder, now that he's a pro, I mean, Brock, I felt like thought he had to make those plays at Iowa State, and it pushed him to do some things that we would kind of laugh at and be like, oh, my God, what are you thinking?
Right. Trying to make a play.
Is that going to be Brock Purdy in the NFL?
Can't be. It can't be because that won't cut it. You know, I thought Deckers tried to follow that path too.
I did too. He watched the 99-yard drive at Iowa, which, regardless of how the season turned out,
no, that was the
teams,
drive of the year.
Yeah, and that's against a top-5 defense in college football at their house.
Yes.
Okay, so you cannot take that away from him in that offense.
Right. His first road start.
He was taking what was there.
Yep.
He took what was there, and you know why he was able to do that? They had a damn running game. Right. And then something happened, and I don't know if they wore down. Maybe that's why the strength coach got fired.
Maybe. Brock was hurt seemingly all year, right? I mean, he was never 100%.
No, he was 100% in that game.
Yeah, right,
and,
but after that, very soon
that Kansas game is when he got nicked up. I mean, if they can get – it just comes back to the damn line for them. I mean, it really does. That you can win in the Big 12 with Brock and Norton. There's no doubt in my mind, especially in this new Big 12.
Yep.
Really, 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 really believe that. Iowa, Cade McNamara. There's all sorts of talk about Iowa in the transfer portal right now.
With receivers?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it matters unless they're going to change some things up. Like,
no, you have to.
I mean, if you put Cade McNamara on this team this year, what are they? One more win? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he's a leader. With Cade McNamara, you're getting a leader first of all, I think.
I like him.
I do too, but I don't think – I think maybe Hawkeye fans have some unrealistic expectations as to what they're getting in Cade McNamara. I mean, I don't think if you were to go back, in August to rank the elite quarterbacks in college football, that he's in any conversation. He's a really good college player. He's better than Spencer Petras. He's better than Padilla. He's played in big games. But I don't think that this is a guy that's going to come out there and just put up mind-blowing offense. Like, he's not a 27 touchdowns to 4 picks type of guy. If that's what you're expecting, it's not going to happen.
You can't put up those numbers in that offense.
No.
It's not possible.
You need to run the football. I think they've got a good running back, a young running back. Their offensive line, I think, got better, although Nebraska exposed them a little bit in the final game of the regular season. I don't know, Chris.
The strength that you almost just called me
Trent. I did.
Cheating on Trent. Ross did that to me. We were like 6 years into the show, and he called me Travis one
Did he
time.
really? That late?
Yep. 6 years in. It's unbelievable. I've said this to Hassel. You trace back Iowa's drop-off on the offensive line to the Doyle situation.
There's no doubt. Yeah. Had to do it. Right
and you just wonder, too, with the Iowa State thing, Matt firing his you go into his third strength and conditioning coach in 7 years. The thing is, it's like they coach the defense, too. And those guys are certainly
great
playing
point.
well. I don't know what the answer is, but it seemed like what's different about Iowa, what changed offensive line-wise? They've been doing the same damn thing for 20 years.
Yeah, they just didn't have that bell cow, They didn't have a Brandon
But they really weren't very good last year, and they had one.
Well, in the middle of the line, yeah. I mean, this was a generational center in Linderbaum.
Correct.
Yeah.
He held them together, but the rest of that group wasn't great.
No, but he overcame some things because of him, because he was that good. He would take care of his business and then help his guy out with their business.
All right, we're going to go for about 10 more minutes here, and then we are going to move up. And where are we heading to? We're going
Right
to go
up
to
there.
Victory Burger.
Yeah, Vic, you go through Victory
Right.
Burger, we'll be over. Instead of being on the floor, we'll be on the roof.
Now, this place is just unbelievable. The amount of screens, and I kind of like I got to get some bets in before we go on the air next.
Have you had a tweet show up on the Twitter board yet?
Boy, I don't know, but I sure hope so. I sure hope so. We were at the Bacon
Nation.
Bacon Nation over at the D.
Yep.
And the D is kind of a hidden joint here in Vegas. Like, if you don't know about that, now you got to head on over there because that's where Mike Palm's at most of the time.
Yeah, that's where he hangs out. Bar Canada, of all places. That's where he watches all the games.
The hidden gem.
It is. It's great. Yeah, and then Bacon Nation lived up to its name, did it not? Oh, my God.
Jeez. What was your favorite?
The black pepper bacon, I think.
I had the everything bagel bacon.
Yeah, I saw that. I wasn't sure what to do because you put cream cheese on it.
They have you dip it in cream cheese because it's supposed to taste like an everything bagel.
And did it?
Yeah.
And was it good?
Yeah. You like onions, chives, that type of
Yes,
thing?
yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was fantastic. I thought we'd run through the futures here.
Let's do it. I'm a futures player.
We'll give you Iowa and Iowa State right now for the men's side. Not a believer in TJ Altsberger Cyclones. Plus 12,500.
So 125 to 1.
Plus 8,400 for the Hawkeyes
84 to 1.
at this point in college basketball.
Love those prices.
Here's you know what I play?
Uh,
And I think I'm gonna do it.
who?
North Carolina.
You know, I bet them at like 12. No, I bet them at 8 to 1, and they're sitting here at 24 to 1 based on how bad they're playing right now. Man, I don't know, Chris. There's something wrong with that team.
But I mean, doesn't it make sense though that these are now paid players?
No.
And they have the
Well,
run last
Baycott
year.
is.
Yeah, they had the run last year. They're clearly not playing well. Like, I know that this is a buy low deal, though.
No, it's
Telling me that they're not going to
no.
turn it around and all of a sudden
They're
decide
a
they want to
tournament
play.
team for sure.
And if they get in the tournament, they can
That's all
win
you
as
ask
a
for.
9 seed, as we've seen.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the
It's
ticket
a
I
blue
would
blood.
put.
They're blue blood.
The other one, I got to see these teams up close. What about UConn at 2,400?
That's a good play. I've got Arizona. I've got Kentucky. I've got Illinois. And I've got
I like
Texas.
Illinois at 4,500. That's a great one.
And I've got Texas. Those are
Doing
my
that
four
to
big
stick a
futures.
knife in.
No, I just I like to surround the board, right?
Great game last night.
It really was. Went to overtime. Watched a lot of it on the plane coming over from Tucson. By the way, Southwest, right? You just plug in, watch your games.
I was thinking about that on my trip here yesterday about how great Southwest is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Circa of
It is. Your bags fly
airlines.
for free. Now, I will say this. It's not perfect because when I flew to Tucson on Sunday, I thought we took off at like 10 to noon. So I'm going to watch the Vikings versus the Jets because on Southwest, the cable stations are New York-based. So I'll see whoever the Giants are playing, whoever the Jets are. And the internet was out. So no TV.
Internet was out on my flight yesterday, too. But nonetheless, they did.
No, they're great. I'm a big fan.
All right, there's your men's futures running those
Who
things.
else do you like? Do you like another team?
I mean, I really like your Illinois play at 4,500.
How about Indiana, 28 to 1? They got some dude. They're picked to win the Big Ten. They're 28 to 1.
Honestly, I haven't had enough time to sit here and look at this. But I feel like North Carolina is just a classic buy low spot. I mean, they're a top 3 talent team. So you're just banking on them wanting. I mean, think of the guys you got on that team.
No, they're all back.
They just got to figure it out.
Right, and they figured it out
But
last year. Why can't they this year?
Iowa State, man. Robert Jones got in Baycott's head.
What a
Some of the
player.
stuff that those guys were telling me that was going on between those two during that game.
Yeah.
It's one of the great things about being able to do play-by-play.
Right.
It's because you're down there and
Courtside, you can
oh
hear
my
the
God.
So
But Jones was running his mouth the
Let's see.
entire
has he
time.
got another year?
Yes. If he wants it.
What do you think? Do you think he does?
Why wouldn't he? You know?
Right.
You're finally kind of coming into fruition who you are.
Right.
This year you're a rotation guy. Next year you could be a starter. I mean, it's kind of the – but so Darren Hansen, who did color with me in Portland.
There's a basketball mind.
Oh, man. He's phenomenal. You should get him on your show.
We will.
He's just
No, we will.
awesome. I actually kind of want him to start podcasting for us, doing some college basketball stuff. He coached for Omaha when Robert Jones was in the Summit League playing for Denver.
Denver, yeah.
And Darren told me, he's like, when we saw that Otzelberger got him, all of us were texting like, what in the hell?
Well,
there's no way this guy can play in the Big 12.
It's funny you mention that. Correct me if I'm wrong. My story that I told last year on the air was the only reason Robert Jones is at Iowa State is because they wanted his teammate. And they thought if there might be a package deal because one of Jones' teammates at Denver was the target, but we'll bring Jones along with him.
So what actually happened is they wanted to bring him on because they knew how hard he would practice. And they thought if they brought him in there, because TJ had some connection to him, or actually I think it was Kyle Green did.
Yeah.
And really knew how great of a worker and kid he is.
And that'll set the tone in practice.
For
and
Xavier Foster.
Wow.
And George Condit, who always had talent but not much of a motor.
Right.
That was why they brought him in.
Interesting.
And he has since blossomed. I mean, that.
What do you guys call it? Big Bob Energy?
Big Rob Energy.
Big Rob Energy?
I don't know if it's Kyle Green or what, but whoever has worked with him
deserves a race.
I mean, jeez. He was horrible last year when he had the ball.
But there were games, Chris, last year that I thought his contribution was invaluable. Just because what he brought to the floor, he gave him a kick in the pants when they needed it. And this is cliche, right? But if the bus pulls up at the stadium, I want him off the bus first. That's who I want to lead my team off the bus.
I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect. He is an absolute dog, and the teammates love him.
Right.
The coaches love coaching him. He was brought in to be a culture guy, and he's going to end up probably being one of the more popular players that we've seen come through Iowa State in 10 years.
And that's saying a lot because look at the guys that are on that list.
But you watch him, it's contagious, his energy.
Yep.
Like, I mean, and that's another thing TJ does that's pretty brilliant. Is he gives all these guys their little roles. And this whole Big Rob energy thing, it's like, that's what they're asking of him. Mm-hmm. And we're going to bring you in at 17:30 every game. It's what Fred did with Tyrus McGee. I think that's where TJ got this. Remember, Tyrus McGee should have been a starter, but he never did.
Right.
Because Fred liked him coming in at that certain spot.
Mm-hmm. By the way, it's good to see Hoiberg get that signature win the other day, right?
Boy, I bet on Creighton.
Did you?
Yeah.
I've got Creighton in futures too. That's another one I got.
I bet I can't find myself to do the Creighton one.
30-1. They got everything though. They got guards. They got bigs.
And he can coach.
Yes.
Like he gets a bad rap because of the stint at Iowa State, but
right.
he's proven over. I mean, we got to throw a Big 12 team into not Kansas. It's not their year.
No, I got Texas.
Yeah, you got Texas. Okay. TCU at 8,000 would be interesting once they're 100% healthy and getting all their guys back. But I don't know.
TCU is 8-1.
8,000.
Jesus. That's surprising. That's a low price. That's pretty low. That's rarefied air right there.
Yep. All right. Bet on the women's game tonight. It would be cool to show Circa that we are supporting stuff like that. Maybe make a little bit money. Again, my bet would be on Iowa State, but I'm also a homer, and I'm admitting that.
Yep.
I'm not going to bet the game because I think it's a total toss-up.
I'm with you.
I don't like truly.
You know, just let me say this. If you haven't downloaded the Circa Sports app, everybody wants the bonuses, right?
Yeah.
And those are going away. Circa doesn't do business that way. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to give you the best price out there most of the time. And Trent and I say this all the time. Shop around. I mean, Circa might be your best price one day, DraftKings the next day, Bet Rivers, whatever it is. And Circa would tell you that. If you can get a better price anywhere else, go bet it there.
Yeah.
But for most of the time, 80% of the time, your best number value-wise is going to be at Circa.
I wanted to run by, this is the last thing I had for this show, and then we're going to head upstairs, and we're going to talk some bowl games and bowl betting and get some handicappers on with us. I've stumbled on a little strategy on Sundays this year that has been very good to me.
NFL,
yes.
Okay.
Which it's weird. I find myself being a much better NFL bettor than I am college. And it's because I bet fewer games because I'm not as cocky. Like in college, I tend to think I know more than I do.
Well, there are fewer games to begin with.
But I'll just bet fewer ones anyways, though.
Gotcha.
Like instead, I like fewer games because I generally don't know as much, so I'm more thorough about the ones that I actually do bet. I've been doing a thing here as we get to the midpoint in the season and I just want to bounce it off you because you know a lot more about this stuff than I do. Moderate to large home divisional underdog teasers.
Okay.
Because, I mean, the numbers there's not a lot of blowouts in divisional games ever.
True.
You add the home
field advantage, which is minimal now, but true, yeah.
And I've had a lot of luck. I'm sprinkling in every Sunday about 2 of these 2-team teasers. And I don't know if I found something. Probably not. Somebody else has certainly tried this at some point.
Well, track it for the year.
I do in my Action Network app, and then I'll be able to tell you at the end of the year. But I'm really –
Are your picks listed on there too, like Condon's are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Every time Trent makes a pick, which is like every 4 minutes.
Yeah. God, he's sick,
it pops up on. Oh, yeah, he's betting like, I like the Pepperdine over.
Yeah. We do these little things at the end of our show, Trent's play of the day. I mean, I don't know
I
call
love
it play, but it should be plays. What do you got today? Well, Ken, I got 11 bets. Well, Trent, we've got 30 seconds. Go.
I think maybe next year with football, we should start some sort of a bettors club with a bunch of us and just track it for fun. And
let's do it.
I think it'd be a lot of fun. Maybe Circa would get on board with it.
They probably would.
And jump on that with us. All right. We're going to sign off here on the live broadcast for now. We will get this up on the podcast page, of course. And then we are going to head up to upstairs here in the sports book. And we're going to have more content for you guys coming up later on today. Chris Hassel. We are going to do 2 guys named Chris from Stadium Swim tomorrow.
Nice. So you did bring your Speedo?
I'm not wearing anything, Ken. I'm just
you won't,
going,
you
baby.
won't last long. They tend to walk you out if you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a shame. They don't have an adult pool here. It's Circa.
No, but there are a bunch in Vegas.
Been to a couple of those.
Have you?
I didn't know I was going to one the last time, and I had
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I would say pleasantly, to be honest.
I've never been.
Yeah,
I've never partaken.
Here's the thing I learned is the women that you'd like to see there aren't necessarily the ones that are going to hang out at that pool.
Right.
Yeah, we are doing 2 guys named Chris live tomorrow. I want to pull this up just to make sure for our audience that I can give you guys the right.
So when Bloom and Chris, they get in tonight?
Yes, Bloom's delayed. So we may not even see Bloom until after the women's game, to be honest with you. Tomorrow, 2 guys named Chris from Stadium Swim live at 3 Iowa time. We're doing like a whole thing leading up to the Cyhawk game. And then we're going to go from here, where we are sitting at 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Nice.
Leading up to the game where we're going to do some spots with Jared Stansberry and Jordan Bohannon.
Good.
To get you guys ready for the Cyhawk game.
So you'll be at Stadium Swim at 3 o'clock Iowa time.
Tomorrow.
My goal is to be in my couch or on my couch in Ankeny because my plane lands at 1:50.
You can tune in and you can join the chat on YouTube. You
Okay.
big YouTube guy?
I've never been on it.
Probably not. All right, we're going to sign off. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll be back on with some bowl game content here coming up. Download that Sage Rosenfeld's interview with Mike Silver as well. It's fantastic. It's on Brock Purdy and just some NFL conversation. Thanks for watching. Thanks for Circa for having us here, and we'll be back in just a little bit.